Hello to the member of the Dagbreek Media Committee's layout and design team watching the video. This is a quick tutorial on Adobe InDesign, the program we use for our editing, and the purpose of it is so that you don't have to go and watch, YouTube videos and potentially waste time on irrelevant information. This is geared specifically towards the publications that we as the media committee put out. My name is Will Gorge. I'm the chairperson for 2024. I was the chairperson in 2023 as well. Cool, so let's jump right in. So you're going to want to go and open Adobe InDesign. Whether you're on Mac or Windows, this tutorial should be relatively, the same. Let's go to first thing, once we've got it open, type font and then Times New Roman regular. This is just the default font. That text is going to appear as when you import it into InDesign. So the next thing we're going to do is new file, right? Print, view all presets, A4 is what we work in. Once you have selected this once, it will go to your recents, right? Cool. So let's just have portrait orientation. Once you have selected that, you'll be brought to this window. This is the Essentials workspace, and it does not have enough tools available. So the first thing we're going to do is go Window, Workspace, and we're going to choose Typography. Depending on your version, you could just go here and choose that as well. Okay, this is better, but there's still a couple things that I want to customize. First thing is our pages. These are very important. We work with them, very often. So I'm going to go and drag this over here to give it its own panel. I don't want this. Cool. So pages, right? Another thing we work with very often is text wrap. So I'm also going to take the text wrap and I'm just going to put it below there. Cool. So now we have a pages panel and a text wrap panel. More on these later, but they are now very easily accessible. So let's jump right in. Once you have done this, you can go to Window, Workspace, and you can go New Workspace, right? And then let's just call this Dagbreek Publishing, right? And you can go, okay, cool. So now you will default to this workspace and you have it saved, so you can come back. Anything else you find useful, just, save it to the workspace. Now, let's get started. First thing we're going to do is create a text box. So once you're greeted with this, you'll be given a blank page, and you obviously need to add things to it. So for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to make us an 8-page document. So obviously, as you've read in the document, everything needs to be, all publications have to have an equal amount of pages and an even amount of pages, my bad, and in the format shown, right? They have to be multiples of 4. So with that said, the first page will be left open for the front cover, back page. If you double click on it, it jumps to that page for the back cover, and then page 4 and 5, according to the formula, they're directly in the middle. There's an exactly even amount of pages on either side of them. Will be also left open for the centerfold. Cool. So once we have done this, we're going to want to go and create a body of text. So I'm going to make a fake article over here, and I'm going to just insert some placeholder text. Let me just copy it over so you can get the gist of it, right? Cool. So first thing we want to do is change the number of columns. You can do that by just selecting this over here, right? Let's shrink this so that we can span all the columns at once. We use 3 columns, right? Next thing we're going to want to do is have your text. You'll see that when you cycle through your menu options over here, you'll have a different arrangement of tools available. And so, yeah, proper newspaper format, we're going to go and select this justify paragraph style. This makes it nice and blocked out so that words that are cut off get joined with that little hyphen over here. So yeah, we have it in Times New Roman, regular, perfect. For this purpose, I'm going to keep it in 12 point. You can make it 13 point. It just depends on the sizing. Now I'm going to want to add a title, right? So this is my title, and then I'm also going to want to add the author name, which is going to be me. So Will Gorge over here. Cool. So let's format these in the style of the Dagbreek Media Committee's basic style, and then we're going to go and up the size. Let's make this one 30, right? And for me, I need mine in Times New Roman, and it is in bold italic according to the documentation, right? So this doesn't look quite right. So I'm going to take my title and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to center it in the middle, right? And for my for the author, I'm going to go and I'm going to align this to the right hand side. Because these won't be spanning, it doesn't really matter which, option you choose over here. Cool. So this is getting somewhere, but if I have a very major article, I'm going to want this title to be perfectly centered. Now, because it's a part of the other text, this is all one body of text, this is going to subscribe to this column thing. But if I want to bypass that, I can use something called the span columns tool. So I will go up to my menu bar over here, select this little menu item, and then go down to span columns. And I'm going to choose the span columns option. Over here it is set to all columns, right? And I can change this to go to 2 columns only, or yeah, well, that's all that will be relevant because we only work with 3 columns. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the author over here. You could actually select them all in one highlighting and then do it as well. But there we go. Cool. I like the way this is looking. Yeah, so for major articles, you generally want the title to kind of be in the center and the author over here. But for smaller articles, or maybe you've got multiple titles in one, column text, for example, the section articles in the Eiffel, yeah, you can just have the title in a single column. This doesn't matter too much. Yeah, so with that being said, I'm going to go and show you something else. What we often have, if you have some things before this, your article's only going to start halfway down the page. Now it cuts off, right? And you can see it cuts off because of this little red plus that appears. So now, at first instinct, you'd want to go, cool, just find, a cool, it's after this little, vitae over here. I'm going to go select the rest, cut it, and then create a new text box here, paste it in. That is tedious and terrible practice, so don't do that. I am going to rather click this little red dot and then just click over here, right? This little play button shows that these two are linked, right? And now whatever changes I affect this side will show up over here. The text just, moves along to the next. You've linked 2 bodies of text, or the same body, however you want to phrase it. I'm just going to style this one so it looks the same. Let's go and up the columns over here to 3, and let's take this title down just so we can, see it nicely. This is also very useful, for example, when you import images, which is the next thing I want to show you. So let me go and drag an image in. Cool. So now you're going to have this little image over here. Now this is way too big. So I want to have my image so that it sits directly inside a single column. So instinctively I would then just drag it, but no, that crops it. If you're on the select tool, right, and you try and resize an image, it is going to crop it. Rather, select this free transform tool over here and hold shift to keep the proportions the same, right? Now I can move this anywhere, it's going to stay constrained to those proportions, and then resize it the way you want to. Let me just show you, for example, if I don't, yeah, it doesn't look good. Sometimes you might have to warp it a little bit to make it fit right in your article, but for now, let's just resize it properly. And yeah, so now it's sitting in here, but the text is directly behind it. So the next thing I'm going to want to do is go and select a text wrap, right? So we've got a nice little panel over here with all of our text wrapping options. Some limited ones are available there too. I'm going to choose it to jump object, right? So now this image is present inside this little body of text, and directly before and after the text then pauses and resumes. So wherever I move this image, it will have that same effect. So if I keep a constraint to a column, you know, it's very handy. So I'm going to have my image over here in the first column, and now I want to add an image title. So I would suggest with your image, image caption, is you make a separate text box, right? So let me just drag one across. I'm going to expand it to the width of a column, and I'm going to be like, this is an image caption. Cool. It's formatted correctly. That is going to be italic, right? Now I want this nice and centered, so I'm going to make sure my text tool is selected by just double clicking on the text, center it up nicely there, and then resize this text box so that it doesn't take up any unnecessary space. Now I'm going to go directly ahead and I'm going to put it in there. As you can see, this kind of works out because of the way that this image is, but let me just show you. This would not, right? So there's not enough space for this. Because this is enclosed in its own little box, you can use the exact same text wrapping technique as before, right? So let's just do that. And yeah, so that is going to wrap nicely there. Sometimes you might want to kind of change things around a bit so that there's not too much of a gap over here, but this is just the way that the software is programmed. Let me show you another example with a bigger image. Let's just go in here, select that, delete it, delete that. Make sure that you place your images on top of the text box, because otherwise it's going to be underneath, and when you want to edit it, you're going to have to kind of worry about, you know, push behind or bring to front, that sort of thing. Cool, so here is a photo from the 2023 first years. Again, I'm going to go to free transform tool, hold shift, and then transform it. Some of the images you're going to be getting are going to be massive. So yeah, they automatically render to the maximum possible size. So you're going to have to resize some of them a lot. Cool. So I want this one to span 2 columns. So I'm just going to go here, boom, and then text wrap, jump. Cool. When you have a caption here, I'd recommend also making it span across both, but I'm not going to put a caption on this image. The next thing I want to show you is, you can see here that we've now, because of that image, offset quite a bit of text. So let's just have that there. You see, this is going to apply. Where did that go? Yeah, it's going to apply anywhere, so I can just go and put it over there as well. Same text wrapping settings apply. Between articles, we use line dividers just to nicely show. You don't have to put these in, like sometimes it looks better to have a bit more of an open layout, but for this case I'm going to. Here's a black line, looks pretty basic to me, so I'm going to go select this, and this thing here, stroke. This is going to allow us to style the line, so I want a nice dotted line over here, and that's looking a bit thin, so let's make it 2. Give it a weighting of 2, and that looks pretty nice and neat. Yeah, so that is some of the basics. Another important thing I want to talk about is links, right? So let me show you here. I've got this image that I've just, imported into InDesign, saved on my desktop, right? Now, if I go and move this thing to trash, and I'm gonna go and just save this, right? I wouldn't, sorry, this little question mark over here pops up. So that means that this image is not linked, and I won't be able to export this document because it'll be, no media, right? It won't know where to find it. So I want to ask you a favor in designing, because oftentimes you'll be collaborating with other people. And the reason that InDesign does this is so that it saves a lot of space. Now, there's 2 options of putting images inside your file. One is by linking them, which is what it's doing currently, and the other is by embedding them. So when you embed an image, right, you're going to go here, window, and then links. Links is pretty important, so I'll tell you what, I'll put it there next to pages. And I can see over here, this image that I've selected is got link, and then if you go status, it says okay. Now that means it knows where the image is. I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to go embed link. Now when you embed it, right, it means that it is part of the document size. This does make the documents bigger, but it means that if someone else is editing the same document as you, they don't have to go and have all of the images transported as well. It's not optimal, but when we have, you know, multiple people working on a project, then it is definitely a better idea. So to make this file size more manageable, once you're done with all your editing, you just go to the links panel, you can go here, select all of them, and then embed. It's just 2 clicks. Do not add the front cover, back cover, and the centerfold photos into your design until the very end, because these are very big, high quality images usually, and will, you know, add a lot of, you know, storage, necessary storage to your file. It's going to make it a much bigger file size. So just embed the small little pictures that you have in your articles, everything except the graphics. Cool. I think that pretty much sums it up. I implore you to, you know, work a bit on your own, discover the program. This is a very overpowered program, and it has so many, you know, digital publishing and design tools available. So you can really do some fun things with it. So yeah, good luck, and I hope this video helped.